Hey everybody, here we are.
What's going on?
Caleb, start us.
Okay, I have a question that a lot of people have been asking for a very long time. How old are Homo sapiens, like in the sense of how long have they been on Earth?
Well,
Why would we know that?
Christians say 10,000 years. Science says 200,000 years.
Christians say 10,000 years?
Maybe not all of them, but I think that's like
I thought it was
creation.
6,000.
Oh, excuse me.
I think modern science
Six
says...
to 10.
At least in North America, modern science says Homo sapiens like 20,000 years ago, right?
Anatomically modern,
Modern human.
200,000. They found one. At least that's what I've heard on multiple different occasions from different people saying that the oldest anatomic.
Let's
Can't
just
say
say
that
modern
word.
human.
Modern human. Like their brain size is the same. 200,000 years. Anatomically.
Yeah, okay. So there's this guy named Michael Cremo, and he wrote this book called Forbidden Archaeology. And I watched a couple of his videos, and he goes through a tiny percent of the stuff that's in his book, you know what I mean? But there are all these artifacts that have been found over the years, in the past, recently, that suggest that humans have been living on the planet for millions, if not billions of years. Like modern human.
Say the A word.
Anatomically.
Anatomically.
Okay. All right, I'm off that. I'm not going to mess with that anymore.
And it's so fascinating to me. Like, they found, and this was about 200,000, this was dated about 270,000 years old. In Mexico, they found some stone tools and some camel bones that had butcher marks in them. And it just, the rock that they were in, the layer they were in, they used 3 or 4 different methods, and it dated from like 240 to 270,000 years old.
Is it possible they're not dating the rock correctly?
It is possible. They used, like I said, 4 different methods to date this. So you would have to, it's one of those things where science, like anything else, there's some faith involved in it. You have to believe in carbon dating, and in the, I believe it's called, like, one of the techniques they use is uranium method or something. One is the, I've forgotten now. But there are these different methods they use to date these things, and either they're completely false. But the one weird thing about the dating methods is it seems that modern scientists, mainstream scientists, and the so-called pseudoscientists that modern scientists try to discredit all agree that the carbon dating and all these things are accurate. Do they not?
Yeah,
they all use it
yeah.
and say that it's accurate. They disagree on all kinds of other things, but they all say that this is accurate. So you do have to put some faith in the carbon dating and in the other things, but what's so fascinating about it is because I have some faith in that. I don't, if someone told me, oh no, carbon dating, it can't be accurate because of this, and then I would change my opinion. But
I got a question. I didn't think you could date stone.
They
has to be organic matter.
They can date the layer of the Earth's crust that they're in,
okay,
and the different things that are around it. There's different ways that they can do that.
I got you, but it's not. It's it's not the same thing.
And when they
as
find it in a layer that's something that's encrusted in this layer that hasn't been dug up and dumped,
right?
That's when they know that this item that we found, this artifact, is the same age as the layer, because it was formed around, the layer was formed around this object. Mm-hmm. All of these artifacts were found like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and there are things that can't be explained because they're things that, like human footprints that are 1 million years old.
Yeah. So crazy, man.
Yeah.
So it says, I asked, can stone be carbon dated? And it says, geologists do not use carbon-based radiometric dating to determine the age of rocks. Carbon dating only works for objects that are younger than about 50,000 years, and most rocks of interest are older than that. Over time, carbon-14 decays radioactively and turns into nitrogen. I don't know, how can they tell? Like, it's anything else when you're talking about a time frame like that. How can they tell? How do they know that carbon behaves that way over such a long period of time? Because they can't measure it. They can only know what it does. There's no way to measure it more than, what time frame we're looking at here.
Yes, but I don't know that because I don't understand the science, and that's where I have to have faith in it because I'm not smart enough to completely understand the way they do these things. And like I said, there's multiple different methods they use of aging, of dating things other than
But what I'm saying, when it's that long of something, so like they may have tested this carbon dating method over a year and say, okay, so every week or whatever it decays this much and breaks down, but how do you know that it's still behaving that way over such long periods of time? Maybe after a certain point it starts decaying faster or slower. How do they know that?
Sure. I mean, I don't know. But what I'm saying is they use other methods to date things, and so I haven't looked into the details of what those methods are, but there are apparently a lot of different ways that they can date, different layers of the Earth.
All right, but okay, so regardless,
we know. How did they know that dinosaurs existed?
Right.
In the Jurassic era.
My thing is, regardless of whether you trust the dating or not, they've used it for other things. So if they're saying dinosaurs are, 65 million years old or older, right? But they're also finding things in those same levels of the ground, which is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
The same levels of the ground that would...
You could safely say in the Miocene layer, the Pliocene layer, all the way back to the Jurassic era. They found artifacts that
humans were doing things.
Yes, that can be, directly tied to modern human. It's very, very strange. And so, yeah, regardless of if any of it is accurate, there has been some time the Earth has been going on. There have been things in the past, and whatever the official stance on it is wrong. Yeah. Because it shatters to me the theory of evolution that we evolved from a single-celled organism all the way up and up and up to modern human. When they say it would take those millions and billions of years for that to become us. Right. But if we were already there that time, then it doesn't explain how we became what we are. Right. So it shatters the theory of evolution. Not evolution, but that theory of how we human beings came into existence. Right. And so I think that's why they hide these artifacts. They don't talk about them. They found a pinky bone, right? And they did all the tests on it. It was human pinky bone. They tested it against primates. They tested it against other hominids, and it matched modern human more than any other thing they matched it with. It was dated over 1 million years old. The modern, the mainstream scientists' official statement on it was, this is a human bone, but the age of it is too old to be Homo sapien. They said it's Homo sapien, but the age is too old for it to be Homo sapien. Their official statement was doublethink. Yeah. And it's like, it's not. We have the evidence that what we've said before is wrong, but because we're saying this is right, we're just going to ignore that. Yeah. And it's crazy.
That's what I was going to ask you. What does mainstream archaeology and science say about these things when they come to light?
They'll say
what are they doing to explain it away, or just?
Yeah. Well, all the typical things. That is just blatant. Yeah. And then there's some of the artifacts that were found and displayed in museums. Eventually, they just get put into boxes, and one museum actually changed the tags. The person who found these and dated them and placed them there once another curator came into the museum, they changed the tags to a date that fit the narrative of mainstream science. And then eventually they just took the artifacts out completely and put them away.
Yeah.
And so, they'll say things like, oh, someone must have just dug down and dumped that stuff in there. But these archaeologists who are excavating this stuff are saying, no, I found this inside.
Right.
It was encased in this. And there was one guy who actually brought a team of skeptics to the site, and they found some. He said, you pick a spot to dig. And they did, and they found some stuff in that spot, and he changed all their minds. Wow. This was a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so this was reported in scientific journals and things of that nature, but these aren't mainstream things that are still being taught. And this guy, Michael Cremo, he has gone through and looked through all these old scientific journals and all this stuff to find all of these, people and things of where they said, hey, this is what I found, and I'm, displaying this to the scientific community. Some of it could be bullshit. Now, most of it, he has pictures of the actual artifacts.
Yeah.
There's a skull found in Buenos Aires that's a human skull that's like 5 million years old or something like that. I mean, like...
Yeah, man.
How do you explain this? If the dating is right...
Yeah.
Whether it's 100% accurate or not, their time has passed on Earth. Things were old back in the day, and they claim that we weren't around. But those things that were around, things that we created or evidence of us, is also there. Yeah. And it's just like...
It's very strange. I mean, it seems to me there's obviously something they're trying to... They either don't have any of the answers, and they want to act like they have the answers, or they have some and they want to suppress those, because regardless of whether the dating is right or not, none of this is adding up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not... It's not working the way that they claim that it does.
I think it's...
And it could be that what you said about protecting the theory of evolution.
I think that's a part of it.
It's got to be part of it, I think.
For a lot of the... And I wouldn't necessarily even say that that's a conspiracy, like that they're trying to, keep this. I think it's more of an ego thing for scientists, for a lot of them. You spend your lifetime on something and claiming something and believing something, and you get presented with this evidence and you just go straight back into what you believe even harder, and you just deny everything. And it's not like we know that this is wrong, but we need to keep pushing this. Maybe that's what it is. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of these mainstream scientists really believe in the theory of evolution. They just don't want, you know what I mean? They deny any evidence to the contrary because they want their life's work to be
very possible
validated.
Yeah.
Well, I also think it helps them with control. Like they don't want to say they don't know.
Yeah.
They need to have an answer for
which is
how
insane
life got here.
For being in the field of science. Mm-hmm. That should be what you say more than anything ever, is that I don't know. Yeah. If you're a scientist, that should be the number one thing you're always saying, is I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why you're in science, isn't it? I don't get that, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think most people don't, though. I mean, even lay people, they don't want to say they don't know.
Oh, yeah, sure.
They want to all have an answer for
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird. Like, when you embrace the fact that you don't know that much stuff, that's a lot more freeing, and you don't have to constantly defend something you're not equipped to defend.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, the person that's making the truth statement is the one that has to defend it.
Yeah.
So if you don't really know and can't back it up, it's hard when you say, "Oh no, this is what it is."
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're constantly covering up and lying to us to continue to defend their stance on their truth. They don't really know.
Well, it's weird. I mean, they act like they know everything. Like just type a question into Google. I did this the other day when I was talking to Josh about it. It's been a while, but I just typed, how many pigeons are there in the world? And it just, 400 million pigeons. What?
Yeah.
400 million pigeons. You know there are 400 million pigeons in the world. And now it does say approximately, and that the population is growing rapidly. How the hell do you know how many pigeons are in the world?
Right. I mean, there's ways of getting like estimates.
I agree with you, but I also do think that there is a way that they could get an accurate estimate on the population of animals, all different animals.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe it's hard. I'm sure that some animals are much harder than other animals.
How would they get an accurate estimate?
I don't know, Jason. That's not my job. But like, I know that there are people who that is their job. That's what they do. They track these animals. They follow the migration patterns.
I mean, there are some things that they know.
Keep tabs on the population, and now you do have to make huge estimations and huge guesses. But I think that they're fairly accurate for an estimation. Yeah. Like, do you need to know the very exact number?
No, I don't need to know.
Pigeons
but
on the earth?
I'm sick of people telling me.
They know the answer.
Pigeons. Yeah, I don't even think that.
But are they claiming that they know the exact number? No.
They're saying approximately 400 million and that it's rising rapidly. How do you know? How do you know it's not just rising rapidly in the places that you're seeing it?
Yeah, I mean, there's
Think about how much working together they're going to have to do with other countries to know how many pigeons.
Yeah.
How many countries is the pigeon native to?
I don't know. It says this says
Google will tell you.
Yeah, it says pigeons are found to some extent in nearly all urban areas around the world.
They're everywhere.
How could they possibly get an accurate pigeon number?
How do they know how many people there are?
I don't believe they do. Like that was kind of, I guess, where I was going with this. I don't think they know
how many people there are.
No,
I don't think they know a lot of things. Yeah. And it's funny because up until I was about 20 years old, it was just like everything's already figured out. Man, this place is boring. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like people used to be explorers, right? No need to do that anymore. We found it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's my whole life. It's been like we are at this pinnacle of humanity that has figured out all the shit that needs to be figured out. They've got the answer for everything. And it really wasn't until, 10 years ago where I was like, hold on a second. There's some things not adding up.
Yeah.
They don't know. They're just telling us that this is the answer. Yeah. This is not necessarily the answer. And they may do that by design to keep people from looking at anything. I think that's
possible. I think there are people that know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I think there's, most definitely, at least parts, right? I think
there have been civilizations that have known for the past 4 billion years.
Maybe.
I mean, I believe that. I think the ancient civilizations go back.
I think so too. I mean, I think that there's quite a bit of evidence to support that as well.
And now my personal theory on that, and this is just my opinion basically, I think that most of the ancient civilizations, not all, but most, were started by the Nephilim, the offspring of the fallen angels. Right?
Where are you getting that from? I mean, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, like, how did this come up?
That story is in multiple different accounts. The different religions across that talk about them contacting gods, and like the ancients, and even just like the recent ancients, they spoke with the gods according to them, right? Whether it's myth or not. They had direct contact with the gods.
Yeah, but it's not just... I mean, Joseph Smith said he did too.
Yes, I understand that, right? But you go through all of these things, right? And you go through all this stuff, and you look at these ancient cultures that had these technologies that we still don't understand, that we can't comprehend how they could accomplish some of the things they did, right? It's, you got all the ancient aliens, theorists. They're like, aliens came down and they gave them this technology, and they helped out humans. I don't think that's what happened. I think it's something other world, like from another dimension, that came, and if it was the fallen angels, the Nephilim, this would make sense with some of the old ancient Sumerian records, because I'm pretty sure the offspring of the fallen angels couldn't reproduce. Is that not in the Bible at least?
I don't think so. I don't think
I don't
that's in the
know.
Bible. I mean, I can find it. I know it's
Okay,
like in
well-
Genesis 6. You
Well,
keep talking.
Isn't
I'll
there
read it.
isn't
Yeah.
there more about the Nephilim and Enoch?
I'm not sure.
There may be. I don't know. I've never read
may
it.
be.
But
They may be
I
coming
heard
from that or
somewhere
something.
that the offspring couldn't reproduce.
Okay.
You have the ancient Sumerian records, which are some of the, I think they're about the most ancient recordings in our history that we have, shows the time cycle of kings. The start of the list, the reigns start about 28,000 years, 30,000 years, 40,000 years for one king. Each king reigned for about 30 to 40,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then at a certain point after the Great Flood,
Yeah.
their records show 17 years, 30 years, 20 years, 18 years for the kings.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the Bible, people were living
Way
way
before
longer,
the flood.
and then after the flood, something happened, and people quit living long. I just my like I said, my personal theory is that the Nephilim went out and started these civilizations across time, and they weren't good. It wasn't a good thing. You know what I mean? These are fallen angels. This is not. This is evil, essentially.
Right.
And they built these people up, gave them all this power and wisdom and knowledge, and had them worship them. And then they died off because they couldn't reproduce. We don't have this kind of contact with these gods anymore like they did in the past. This kind of thing seems to have stopped. You have people who claim that they saw this and they saw that. Sure. But you don't have it documented like we did with some of these ancient cultures. And some of the things, like how they have depictions of light bulbs and, you know, spaceships and like shit that they shouldn't have. Like that kind of adds credibility to some of the things that they did. But that's just my theory on it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
Maybe, man. And I think back to the theory of evolution, right? I think it's falling apart rapidly. And I think eventually, soon, they're going to stop teaching that. Because it's going to have so many holes in it, it's not going to be able to stand up anymore. And they're going to move to a panspermia type of teaching,
which I
towards
think
everyone.
You're going to have to...
Basically,
Like
aliens or something
Earth-
was
yeah,
they seeded the earth with
human
human life. Yeah. And I think that's what they're going to eventually go to, especially like with the disclosure that's happening, you know, with the Navy coming out and saying things about, yes, we see UFOs regularly.
Have you heard about the little orbs that they found that are like really, really old? They're like billions of years old. And they're like, they have like groove marks in them and stuff. They're like spheres. They're really small.
No.
That like, this is, I think, actually was on like Ancient Aliens. So it's like, I don't really, this was like one of their wild theories.
Yeah.
But they were like, these could possibly be the vessels in which they seeded the earth with human life. Like, you know, and it's like, I don't think so, guys. But,
Right.
you know, but those spheres are weird. They're unexplainable for if they're really that old.
Yeah.
They were made by someone.
Right.
With some form of intelligence.
It's definitely odd stuff, man. Like, it's crazier than we ever thought. There are some answers. They're just being heavily suppressed. Like, the people looking into this stuff are just being ridiculed like crazy. You know, it's weird. It makes you wonder why. Why would you not want the truth of this? Because it's weird and crazy anyways. Like, if there were ancient civilizations that were, you know, highly advanced, why is that such a big deal?
Yeah.
Why is that a problem? It doesn't bother me.
And I mean, that's one part of it that I have no idea. Like, I feel like in a way, like I said, I think that a lot of that was evil. A lot of the things that they got were probably not coming from a good place. I don't know that.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be that way. And it's like, you think like maybe they're keeping it from us because we would all be enlightened, we would all be better off if we were, you know, not, I don't know, if we had I don't know. I just feel like with all the shit that they like dull us down with, I think people were more enlightened, and that maybe opened them up to more things like, whatever.
Sure.
But I don't know. It
is weird, but it does seem like from what you're saying with that guy that there's some evidence that points towards us being here much longer than what they claim.
I would say so. And I mentioned a few things, and like I said, he wrote a 900-page book.
What's his name again?
Michael Cremo. Okay. He has so many examples. So many. It's not, and I love that kind of thing.
Yeah.
When it's not just like, hey, they found this one thing and they're saying it's this old and it looks like it was made by humans. We've been around for this long. It's like countless pieces of evidence
right.
that,
well, you mentioned to me earlier about a piece of coal that you said a lady found a gold chain inside of a piece of coal.
Like a chain bracelet or necklace. And she was breaking the coal apart to throw in her stove, and it was inside the lump of coal. Like,
takes a long time for coal to form.
How
does it form around? Jason's like, but they're
Who
telling
knows?
me there's 400 million pigeons. I don't believe that shit either.
Yeah.
I mean, the Earth is flat, space doesn't exist, satellites aren't real, so
So because I'm saying I don't know how many pigeons there
I'm
are.
just making a joke, sir. I saw a clip of Eddie Bravo bitching about satellites being the size of a bus, and you can't see a plane in the air. You can barely see a plane when it's this high in the air, and you're telling me, you can see a bus that's flying in outer space? Satellites aren't real.
Jesus. Satellites are real. Yeah, you can't see them in the air. They're flying over all the time. You can't see them until the sunlight reflects off of them. Like, it's not. Come on, Eddie.
He was on, this was what's unfortunate. He was on InfoWars, and he said, he was talking to Owen Schroeder or whatever, and Owen said, they have a light on there. He's such a fucking idiot. And so Eddie Bravo obviously like, so you think they have a fucking laser beam that they're shining down? They're spending money on a laser beam to shine down so you can see it? Why would they do that? And the other girl's like, they don't have a light on there. They don't. And she was trying to kind of explain, and he kept saying, no, there's a light. No. It's like they're not. God. You're an idiot, sir. Like both of you are in a sense.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Did you look up anything on the Nephilim? Did you find?
Yeah, I did, but you guys were talking, so I didn't. I mean, I just found where it talks about it in Genesis.
It didn't say anything about them not being able to reproduce.
No, I mean, it's real short what it does say. It's Genesis 6, 1 through 4. And the ESV says, when man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh, his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown.
That's very interesting, regardless of whether...
Giants.
Didn't say that, just said they were the men of old. The Nephilim were the fallen angels, right?
It said mighty men, didn't it?
Yeah, men of renown.
Or were the... Okay, I'm still confused. Were the Nephilim the offspring?
See, yeah, that's one thing I don't know.
Or were they...
Yes, the Nephilim were the offspring. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days. And also afterwards, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. So the Nephilim were the result of the fallen angels.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they were said to be the men of old.
I'm looking at different translations now, but yeah. The mighty men of renown. Mighty men which were of old, men of renown.
Huh.
Oh, it says they were giants. I'm sorry. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says they were giants.
And also after that.
Yeah,
This is after
the
that.
flood. Yeah. That's right.
Give it to him, guys.
They're still
Yeah.
giants.
Where they at?
Andre was, he died not that long ago.
They killed one in Afghanistan in 2002.
Did they? Tell us about it.
I don't have enough proof to say that
Well, just tell
is
us
legit, but-
what you saw on YouTube.
they sent in a group to go. Go ahead if you got something.
Oh, I was just going to say, I had switched over to the King James Version, is what it said, giants. In the ESV and the NASB, it just says the Nephilim were on the earth in those days. The King James translates it giants.
Huh.
So,
It's interesting.
yeah.
That's interesting because King James, I feel like, did a lot of tricky things to the Bible.
Yeah.
Why would he-
The shitty thing is that the ESV and all the other ones are translations from the
From
King James. So it's like,
Yeah.
What?
It-
I don't think that's right, man.
okay.
Go ahead.
Tell me what's right.
Tell me what
No,
you-
well, I mean, okay, so King James translates from older manuscripts, right? In a certain year, he takes and puts it into English. Is this correct?
Yeah, they translated it from
Okay.
the Greek.
Right, to English.
Yeah.
King James does that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then these other versions, are they not just...
No, some of them may, but like literal word for word translations. So that's why I was reading like the ESV, the NASB. They translate it from the Koine Greek, like word for word. So they're not. Now some of the stuff, like because the King James is so, you'll find weird things, and I don't know why they did this, but like you'll find verses in there, and you're like, that's almost identical to the King James, and it's because it was so famous in that I think they left some of the stuff there. And it may be that was a fine translation. I don't think the King James is that off as compared to the other ones. Like, so I don't know. It may have been that it was fine, and they just decided to leave it there because that's how everybody remembers John 3:16 or whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I assume that they just put it into more of a modern English after that with these other translations that they weren't.
Yeah.
I heard something interesting about the Dead Sea Scrolls the other day, and there's a part in it apparently that describes Moses and when he was born that obviously isn't in the Bible, and it describes him as glowing, and his eyes shining bright, glowing, beaming bright lights from his eyes, and his father said, "This is not my child." He questioned the mother and said, "This is not my son. Who did you sleep with?" And I think he basically asked her if she slept with a fallen angel, because he knew that wasn't his child. And that's, like I said, that's obviously not in the Bible, but it's apparently translated from the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Huh.
And I think actually Sigmund Freud was the first one who brought up this theory that one of the Egyptian kings, King Tutmos, I think it's different than Tutankhamun, but he basically theorized that Moses and King Tutmos were the same person. Whenever King Tutmos disappeared off the Egyptian scene, Moses kind of appeared and started doing his thing in the Bible. There were some weird similarities, and I don't know if I fully, agree to that. But the weirdest part to me was just the translation of the Dead Sea Scrolls as him having glowing eyes and glowing skin, and everyone being like shocked when they saw him.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So I think he was something
something.
He was something like
hybrid, human hybrid.
like lizard something.
No,
We don't know what the hybrid part is. Just human hybrid. Could be
Okay.
anything.
in a lot of those ancient glyph, depictions
Hieroglyphics.
and stuff that they have when they show like their heaven and their hell and stuff like that. Down below under the earth is always snakes. And all the ones I've seen recently, it's always some form of snake / reptile that's down below the earth. Isn't that weird?
It is weird. Why? Why is it, like you said, like why is it in so many different depictions?
Satan was a serpent.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen those pictures of like the Vatican and the weird art that's in there?
There's some serpent stuff.
Yeah, serpent stuff, like rooms that look like a serpent's head. It's crazy.
I haven't seen that, but that's wild.
Yeah, it's weird.
Why is that there?
I don't know.
Because they're Satanists.
Also, the Eye of Horus. That guy had the tattoo.
Yeah.
We were talking about how it's the pineal gland or whatever. That's not what the Eye of Horus is. And I don't remember the part of the brain that the Eye of Horus represents. It's like this is going to be completely wrong, but it's like the thrombus or something like that. It sounds something like that.
Yeah.
But there's two parts of it, right, on each side, and it's a very, very core function of the brain, and it's where they say your consciousness lies, I believe, or whatever, right? And when you look at it, like if you look at just one side of it, with the bone structure around it and everything, it looks exactly like the Eye of Horus. Exactly. It's really weird. Like as I was watching the video, they started to talk about that part of the brain first, and I was like, holy shit, that's the Eye of Horus. And then they made the connection,
Yeah.
And it's strange because I just always assumed it was the third eye, but that's not what the Egyptians, or that's not what they saw as the third eye, the pineal gland. That's not what it was. It was this other part of their brain.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Very. And then, like, how did they shape it to look exactly like that? Unless they were, I guess they could have cut heads open and looked at it, but
Yeah.
But you'd think that they would have to have had more than just like butchering a head open, but like actually looking for that, understanding what it does.
They would have to be, like neuroscience or whatever that is.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like, I mean, it's wild,
It's
but they knew something, man. They had some kind of higher knowledge.
Yeah, how'd they build them fucking pyramids, dude? I mean, seriously, how did they do it?
They don't make sense, dude. This video I'm still baffled by, and I'm not sure if I buy into it or not. But this guy was one of the original. It's the original cover of Shakespeare's Book of Sonnets, right? And it says Shakespeare's Book of Sonnets, and it has two blank lines, which normally would have some kind of vital information. They're blank, and then it has like the publisher name and things like that, a couple of dots, JG whoever or something like that, normal book shit.
Yeah.
This guy does one of those weird, like normally when I see someone going, I'm gonna connect these dots and look at all these angles I'm gonna find, and I'm just they lose me there,
Mm-hmm.
But I watched the whole video, and the way he draws the lines, it does kind of look like the one T is kind of tilted more than the other, and it's pointing you in a direction. When he draws a line there and does another one, it makes a perfect right triangle. And this man does this with like all these points on there, and they line up right. The two lines that, of course, the two lines that are blank are long. One's longer than the other. They're not even at all. But when he connects these dots to the lines, they match up perfectly to the ends of these lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
All this lines up. He does this full thing. He goes into all of it, right?
Right.
He measures the line segments. He starts breaking them down into equations. He gets 6 or 7 of like these mathematical equations that are very like pi was in one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The golden ratio was one of them. E was one of them. All of these different mathematical equations, many of them that weren't even founded yet, are found within drawing these lines within the cover of this Shakespeare book, right? He does it all the way, and he's not reaching. He's not like adding things. Everything, all the lines he draws and all of the connections he makes, he's making it from the print that's originally on the page,
Mm-hmm.
right? He eventually comes up with this number that he determines are longitude and latitude coordinates. He types them into Google Earth, and it goes straight to the Pyramid of Giza.
That's fucking weird.
Is that not fucking weird? Now he you know, I'm terrible at math. So anyone can fool me with any kind of math because I'm not going to be able to call him out on it because I'm awful at math, right?
Sure.
He was like, I'm going to do the math here, and we've already had it done. He said, but I have a YouTube video where I do all of this math out in full. So, like, he's not just trying to trick people.
Yeah.
Like, he actually
He's
does all
covering his
this work.
bases
Yeah,
if
he
someone
does all the
wanted
work
to-
out and shows all the math and actually lays it out there. But that was weird to me. And it's like, I still don't know, like, that could be, because I'm not good with math, maybe you could just make shit up. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand math enough to be like, oh no, there's no way you could do that unless Shakespeare intentionally put it there.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, he had to.
I think he had to. I mean, I really do. It's weird.
Very weird.
My pop filter's broken for forever.
Yeah.
You know what I found before you start talking about all that? You know what the word Vatican literally means?
What?
Dividing serpent.
What?
It is derived from vatus equal diviner and can equal serpent.
Dividing serpent?
Divining.
Divining.
Serpent. Yeah. And there's all kinds of just weird, like, serpent art and stuff there. Like, there's a room.
Yeah, look at that. That's a
There's a
snake
snake.
head.
Oh, look at that. There's just a snake with a bunch of crap coming out of it.
You guys see that, viewers?
Yeah, can everybody see that?
It's beautiful.
We're gonna get
That's
video.
crazy.
Just look up Vatican snake art.
Yeah, that's right.
Google it.
Look into it. Telling you, just look into it.
I feel like Bob Barker with this thing.
You were just holding that stupid pop filter out there.
That's what I'm going to do every week from now on. Make sure to get your pets spayed and neutered.
Oh, man.
That's one of the funniest parts of Trailer Park Boys is like where he's like high in that courtroom and that microphone's there and he pulls it up and goes, "Look, I'm Bob Barker."
That show's so good. I need to rewatch it. Well,
We ending it?
you guys have any comments, thoughts, prayers?
Yeah, you guys can always pray for me. I need it.
Okay.
Well, we know Caleb doesn't. He hates Christianity, as his father pointed out.
I don't hate Christianity. I think there's a lot of good things in Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
I think somewhere pieced together with every religion on earth, there's maybe 2% of what the actual truth is.
It's possible.
You know, but I think there's little bits of truth in all of them.
And many lies.
Mostly.
Okay.
All right, we'll end it on that.
Yep.
Later.